Just the other day, it was my birthday, and I realized that it's been 50 years since we got our first Land Rover. But what's even crazier is the number of Land Rovers that have passed through our family since then. I thought about it and I counted, and it took me a while to put everything together, but in the last 50 years, there have been 50 Land Rovers. Can you believe it? Hello and welcome to the Overland Legend. I'm Alan. 50 years in 50 Land Rovers. How's that even possible? Well, the thing is, when you've got a family like mine, anything's possible. Since 1974, when we got our first Land Rover, until now, in 2024, there have been 50 Land Rovers. And you can separate out that 50-year period into distinct periods. The first 25 years were really the series years. Then after that, we entered the Range Rover years, and then quickly followed by the Defender years, and then there were the Discovery years, and now after 50 years, it looks like we're re-entering the series years. Of those 50 Land Rovers, 17 of them we still own. And best of all is that the very first one that we got, we've still got that one. So let's start at number 1. So this is where it all started, number 1. It's a 1973 Series 2A long wheelbase, 6-cylinder. It's the very first Landy that was bought in late 1973, early 1974. Had my dad not bought this Landy, I don't know what would have happened. I don't know if we would have gotten into Land Rovers, but luckily he did. And as they say, the rest is history. I've done a full story on this Land Rover. You can see it on my channel. I'll put a link on the screen. And then also look in the description below for a link. For more than 10 years, this was our only Land Rover that took us everywhere. We went on many trips around Southern Africa and attended many rallies and events at the Land Rover Owners Club at the time. It always takes just one Landy, and we were well and truly a Land Rover family. But in the mid-1980s, that started to change because something big happened. The South African Defence Force was a big user of Land Rovers, like many other military forces around the world. The SANDF started to auction off their older used Land Rovers, and sometimes some unused Land Rovers. Number 2 to number 6 were the crazy forward control years. These forward controls were the best bargains of all from the SANDF. Whereas the normal Landys were very well used, these Series 2B forward controls were virtually unused, often with less than 100 kilometers on the clock. So my mom and dad bought and sold quite a few of those. They literally crammed our pavement. But one of them stuck around and became our overland camper for almost 10 years. Affectionately known as 4D, this forward control 2B was the primary camping vehicle for the family between 1982 and 1992. Despite being very slow, it was very comfortable for 4. Big enough to comfortably fit all of us and capable of going anywhere. This forward control also went all over, including Botswana, Transkei and Malawi. It eventually sold to a British couple to travel through Africa. Number 7 and number 8 arrived. Number 8 was an army caboose that was bought for British friends of ours, who, with the assistance of my parents, rebuilt it into a basic camper. That's the vehicle in the back of this picture. But number 7 is the short wheelbase in this picture, which became known as Brown Bolt. Initially it was bought for Brian and I to fix up, which we did, but later became my first Landy. I owned this 1966 Series 2A for over 20 years, through the end of my school years, into university and my early working years. We had some fantastic trips and created many memories in it. This Landy is still around and owned by one of my best friends today. I've also done a video on it previously, so check the description below or the link on the screen. Number 9 was Brian's Series 3 short wheelbase. So Brown Bolt became mine, and Brian had blue. This was an amazing little Landy that Brian owned for over 30 years and used as his daily drive. It had many different looks and engine setups. It's a story that you really have to hear. This Landy did lots of off-roading, got turbocharged, had brake-assisted traction control, got converted to diesel, was a hardtop, a soft top, and a pickup, and then still took part in the 50th Land Rover tour in 1998. Check out my Life of Brian video, where Brian tells us all these stories. Number 10 was another SANDF Series 2A short wheelbase that I restored and painted red and sold to make money for my upcoming camper build. Number 11 is Brian's Series 3 109 Overland camper that he built to travel through Africa with. This was a serious expedition vehicle with a Falcon 2.5 turbo diesel engine, ARB diff lockers front and back, a roll cage, 3 fuel tanks, and a fully kitted camper inside. Number 12 was a Series 2A build done for a French couple who were friends of my parents, and it was also ex-military. Number 13 was the brown caboose. This was the next major camper build that my parents did. The forward control had become too big as we had grown up and started traveling in our own vehicles. A compromise between a normal long wheelbase and a forward control meant lots of space and comfort inside, with good maneuverability and a fair cruising speed. This was a standard 4-cylinder Series 2A from the military that was converted into a camper. This vehicle also did many trips all over southern Africa between 1992 and 1998. Number 14 was a very special one because it was the first Series 1 in the family. My dad bought it to restore to be used to lead the Land Rover 50th anniversary tour in 1998, which covered 10,000 kilometers around South Africa. Check out the 3-part series of this amazing trip on my channel. This was a 1957 88-inch Series 1. This vehicle was completely rebuilt back to fully original, except that the interior was built into a camper. It was one of a kind, and my parents traveled southern Africa for over 2 months with this little Landy. It stayed in the family for many years after that, but eventually got sold. Number 15 is my 1968 Series 2A extra long wheelbase that I built into an overland camper. It was a complete rebuild with lots of modifications. I also fitted the Falcon 2.5 turbo diesel with a ferry overdrive and converted the inside into a fully self-sufficient camper. I did a full video on this rebuild as well, so check out that video if you want to see more about it. I did many trips in this vehicle to Botswana, Transkei and Mozambique, and you can find those videos in the Classic Overland Trips playlist. Number 16 was Smarty and belonged to my sister-in-law Shelley, who rebuilt this Series 3 short wheelbase. It was a 2.25 diesel and quite unique with its purple paint. It was eventually sold to an American friend who exported it to the USA. Number 17 was the first Range Rover and the start of the Range Rover years, a 1982 two-door Range Rover Classic. This vehicle was purchased as an incomplete restoration that was completed by Brian and Shelley. The vehicle was powered by a GMC 6.2 litre V8 diesel, run through a 4-speed GMC auto box. Number 18 was by far the most luxurious vehicle in the family. Used as daily transport by my mom and dad, this 1990 3.9 EFI Range Rover Classic resulted in the exit of the last normal car from the family. Number 19 was another army caboose, and number 20 was this really neat original station wagon that was sold to a friend of a friend who intended on restoring it. Number 21 was another Series 3 Army 88-inch that was built into a nice green Landy named Strange Days and was sold to a friend of Brian's. Number 22 was the first Defender into the family, a 1986 110. It was Brian's third Land Rover and was used as his daily transport. This vehicle was originally a Botswana Defence Force pickup, powered by a 2.5 litre petrol engine, but since converted to a 2.5 litre turbo diesel. Wanting a more comfortable daily driver, Brian sold this Defender to make way for number 23, a blue 4-door Range Rover Classic. Number 24 was this 2-year-old 1997 Defender 90 TDI. Finally, my dream car arrived. I traded in my car and sold Brown Bolt to help pay for this Defender, which was used as my daily transport. JCK, alias Jack, was pampered and looked after, pretty much a Santon Landy. In the end, he also underwent a brief camper conversion for away trips. But Jack really proved his worth through the recovery of an old Series 1 107 from a hill near Pongola. That brings me to my favorite Landy of all, number 25. Despite owning this Landy for over 24 years, I hadn't driven it until just the other day. That's because for 20 years it stood under a tree with nothing happening, waiting for a restoration. But now, 4 years later, I've finally rebuilt this one, a 1957 Series 1 107. I've had a lot of videos on my channel about this, and I'm sure you've seen them. If you haven't, then please go and have a look and see exactly where I found this Landy and how I've managed to bring it back to life. I'm really looking forward to the next couple of years when I get this back on the road and ready to enjoy. Number 26 is the second Army Caboose camper build done by my parents. This was the last camper build and used by my mom and dad for their overland trips. It was powered by a 2.5 litre Falcon turbo diesel engine with a Ferry overdrive. After the Falcon turbo eventually gave up, they put a 300 TDI in, making it a great overlander. I recently saw an ad for this vehicle, still looking in great condition. Number 27 was an armoured 110 that Brian bought and then eventually resold. Number 28 was Brian's latest camper project. It was a chassis up rebuild with just about everything being custom made. The final result was a 6x6 Defender Series Land Rover, powered by an automatic GMC 6.2 litre diesel engine. It was sold as a work in progress. Number 29 was the most fun Landy project that we have ever done. The Millbug was a purpose-built rally trial vehicle. The chassis, originally from a Series 2A 109 forward control, was shortened to 100 inches. The rest of the vehicle was built up from bits and pieces, and it was powered by a Rover V8. I did some separate videos on this vehicle build, and some of the off-roading that we did in it. Make sure you check out those on this channel. Number 30 was my first and only brand new Land Rover purchased. It was a 2003 Defender 90 TD5. The best part of it was the bright yellow color. It was a replacement for Jack and meant becoming a complete all-rounder, hence the name Action Jack. It was a brighter, bolder, more modern version of my 109 camper, which I had sold to buy this one. I had kitted this D90 out to do all my trips, as well as drive every day. Number 31 was my 5th Land Rover, and one and only Defender 110. After relocating to the Cape and starting a mountain bike touring business, I needed something bigger than my D90 to carry guests and gear. The Defender 110 was perfect for the job. I later refurbished this vehicle and gave it a second lease of life. Now let's get into the vehicles that we've still got. A lot of them are down here at Brian's workshop area, and a quick little glimpse just to show you what's happening. Busy extending this workshop. So that was the original workshop, and now that's being extended to what for? Well, obviously to fit more Landys in and to fix Landys. So that's going to be an exciting thing coming up in future. But for now, let's get on to number 32, which is Shelley's Disco. This was the first of the Disco, so this would have been the start of the Disco era. And that's this one here. It's Shelley's Disco 1, and it's basically the daily driver. So that's that one, and then the one after that is number 33, which is Brian's Defender 130, which he's just recently finished rebuilding. Spent a couple of years rebuilding this, and now it's basically finished, and it goes really well. We saw some of its performance yesterday out on a trail, and it's just really amazing. So such a great vehicle. So this is his pride and joy at the moment. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Number 34 was a game viewer conversion that was done on a caboose for my family living next to the Kruger Park, and affectionately called Vlakvark. Okay, then number 35 is the 6x6. What's the story with the 6x6?
Okay, so the 6x6, I stumbled across it at Rob Lima's place, I don't know, 20 plus years ago. It's an Sandringham, well, it's a Sandringham 6 that I got from them. It's as is, as I got it. The previous owner had the crazy idea of making it left-hand drive and turning it into a double cab, but I managed to rescue it from him. It was missing some of the transmission bits. So I got it from him, and it's my job now to get it back to dead standard.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, then the next one, number 36, is this unbelievable D90. This you've had now. This is actually the vehicle for now, I think, that you've had the longest. I think we.
No, the little blue was the longest.
Yeah, but what you've still got.
Oh yes, yes, yes. Yes, yeah,
So
this is longer.
How long have you had it?
So this one I bought 2010. So I've had him now, 13 years. So I actually sold the blue. I sold a little blue. I sold another workshop vehicle series that I had, and 3 minis to afford to buy it. I think it's locked. Okay. 3 minis to afford to buy it in 2010, and at the time it was quite a good deal at 60,000 bucks. And it had 290,000 Ks on, 280,000 Ks on. And the owner was selling it because it was getting a bit old. And he was up for buying a new company car. So then I've had it ever since, and I've done basically nothing to it. Just maintenance, but it's as original. It's now got 390 on. It's as original, absolutely nothing's changed other than timing belt and service. Never been opened at all. Put another turbo core on 10,000 Ks ago. So I discovered I last filled the tank 14 months ago.
So this is like basically as standard as you're going to get.
As you possibly can get, yeah. Well, definitely in this time, unless you find a guy who's locked it away and never used it, but it's bog standard. Obviously, it's got this thing on the back. I'm too scared to take it off right now. But that's as I got it.
So this is basically what a garage find looks like. This would be a
garage find. It's done less than a tank full in the last 14 months.
Okay. At number 37 is a Landy who started out being called onderste bo, which is Afrikaans for upside down. That's because that's how Brian found it, upside down. This Defender 110 became King Julian, a bright green Defender 110, and was the forerunner to the 130 that he has now. It was Brian's daily drive and fitted with all of his Madman development accessories and upgrades. It also participated in one of the first Defender Trophy events. And that's number 38. This one you've seen before. It's my 2009 Land Rover Discovery. I've also done a couple of videos on this one, so you can check those out on the Discovery playlist. It's my daily driver, and yeah, I really like it, really enjoyed it. Okay, then at number 39 is Dean's Disco. Number 40 is this here galvanized chassis, which was a assembled 110, but Brian's now taken it apart, so it's a 110 V8 that's being rebuilt. And this is just a chassis that's been regalvanized, so it's going to be rebuilt from the ground up. We'll find the rest of the pieces inside, so the whole vehicle is dismantled and sitting inside this garage next to where I was working. This 110 was part of a package deal bought with number 41, a Series 2A diesel station wagon. After fixing up all the mechanical issues, it was later sold on.
No, yeah, you can just start.
When Brian owned the Landy online workshop, he came across number 42, a green 2.8 Defender 90. This Landy was a non-runner at the time, and after fixing it up, he resold it. 43 is Charlie X. Is this short wheelbase 1971 Series 2A short wheelbase that I bought. I've also done a video on this on my channel. I think it's the best Landy you can get, a 2A, late 2A short wheelbase. So yeah, look at, you can find that video there as well. One day it'll be restored. Right now I'm just using it a little bit here and there. At number 44 is this green Defender 90 TDI that I recently bought. Quite a bit of stuff on my channel as well. Look under the Defender playlist. I'm busy refurbing this and just fixing it up. It's going to be Ewan's car eventually, and we're nearly done with it, so look out for some new videos on that coming up. Okay, yeah, we've got a whole lot of them.
Oh, they've been moved.
And the next one is number 45, which is this 110 pickup.
Horrible mess.
Which is a bit of a mess. It's got a RD28.
Yeah, RD28, not a bad motor, but the Oka put it in, as you can see, it's not very lacquer. It's a disaster. It was like a group buy for a game farm, which is always a very bad idea. It's got this kind of patina on it. Inside it's actually quite good. Nothing's broken. It's very good inside. Outside it's a little bit dodgy.
Okay, but that's number 45. That's going to be redone. Then number 47 is Rudy's Disco, which I assume is this white one here.
Yeah, I drove it here, but the guy I bought it from wanted the engine and gearbox to resell. So I bought it from him, pulled the engine and gearbox, gave it back to him, and I've got a donor engine and gearbox. So that's going to be Rudy's car. Each kid gets a Disco. And it's reasonably good. It just needs a bit of tidying, but it's nice and straight. It's not too bullied.
Okay, then number 47 is this green 300 TDI Disco.
So that was bought for spares, and its license is Dodge, so I can't really register the vehicle, but it's absolutely original. It's like very original. It's got all the original bitties on it that they come with. So that is the donor engine gearbox for that vehicle, and otherwise just spare parts. It's not a bad vehicle. Inside it's very mucky, but it's actually in fairly good condition.
Okay, and then Simon Nelson's 300 TDI is not here.
No, that's with Mark. I look after it. It's typically his vehicle, but it's registered on my name because it's just simpler and easier. My vehicle. I'll probably end up buying it when he leaves. This is just how these things go.
That's why it's at number 48.
Yeah, it's going to be mine at some point.
Okay, so that then brings us to the very last one on this. So I said 50.
Well, not the last one, the most recent.
Yeah, not the last one, the most recent. The most recent, the last one means the most recent. There's never a last one.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So we're at 49. There will no doubt be more, and quite possibly this year still. But so the most recent one is this one, and Brian will tell us about this story.
Okay, so after Alan bought his short wheelbase, I had to go fetch it from the airport and bring it back. And I drove it around a little bit, and I thought, geez, no, I've got to have one. It's just a problem for me. So I've been hunting, and they're actually possible to find now in even any condition. So I found this one at Shane. It also comes with paperwork that needs lots of work. It's scrapped. It's been worked on, but it was previously loved. So the guy did some work on it, and he did some good work on it underneath. Rebuilt the chassis and fixed it, so there is some work I need to do there, but otherwise it's actually quite original. It does run. Gearbox is a bit funny, it's missing some gears, but it runs, and it is sort of mid-60s, somewhere around there, Series 2A British chassis, which is going to be it's going to basically be a soft top shorty, just for a weekend vehicle, play vehicle, not serious off-roading, but just fun.
Okay, so that basically is, as I said, in the different stages that we've got. This now signifies the complete circle where we've returned to the series stage.
Big circle.
The series are now returning, and that's why that workshop in the background is basically part of it being built so that some of these vehicles can get in there and get fixed. So the cycle has come a full circle in that 50 years.
It's quite exciting.
And number 50 is one that I forgot about, an ex-Army R6 that was rebuilt to be sold. What an amazing list of Landys, and I was completely amazed when I actually sat down and drew up that list. But what's even more remarkable is that after all that time, 50 years of buying and selling all sorts of different Land Rovers, that very first one is still here, and we've still got it. And that's quite special. So I hope you enjoyed that. There will still be more Landys in future, so I'm sure that number will get bigger than 50. But anyway, thank you so much for watching as always. And until next time, bye.